So far, we've seen 3 nominations. Energy Ministry as well as the Attorney General. Looking at John Mahama's pledge to run a lean government with just 60 ministers, which ministry do you feel should go?
I will begin by looking at that, but before I do, I don't even believe in the 60. I believe in 19.
19? Yes. Why 19 though?
Yes. 19 in the sense that if you read the Constitution, cabinet made up of, it can start from 10 and end in 19. And remember, cabinet is that small group of senior-most ministers who take important decisions with the head of state. So more important decisions are taken from cabinet. So any other minister, you are just an errand boy. The real cabinet issues are the important issues. So why don't you make it what? 19. 19, remember, by the Constitution, you are required to also create regional ministers. So 16, select 16 of them who will double as what? Ministers of state and regional ministers at the same time. So then you have what? 19 ministers, 19 ministers who are at the same time 19 regional ministers. Then you are left with 3. And leave the 3 to bigger ministries to handle.
But won't that overburden them, especially when, okay, the conversation is now shifting towards should members of parliament still be awarded positions in ministerial roles? Wouldn't that overburden them?
I'll come to the burden, but let's look at it. Whether, we can, by this, you are going to burden them. Okay. No, who are those who do the job? They are the technocrats, the bureaucrats, the chief director and his team. And they can manage this too. Because we have seen in our history, sometimes there's a problem and one minister will handle what? Another ministry because there's a problem there. We saw Papa Wusu handling what? 2 ministries. We saw a number of them. So they can do that with the support of what? The bureaucrats who will support them to do this. And that this one will take away what? Deputy ministers. Then the space that will be created in the bureaucracy, you employ more people to get in it so that they will learn under the feet of the experienced one. Then one day they can also take over. It can be done. Because if there's a problem and one minister is not there, normally they appoint another minister to also oversee that. How do they work? It's the bureaucrats who work. So get them, and then you have what? The 16 who will be what? 16 regional ministers at the same time, 16 ministers. The bigger ministries, you look at them through your analysis, you can find the 3 bigger ministries. You give it to what? 1 person each to manage, 19. But I am not the president. The president has come out with a 60. Let's look at the 60. Whether, the 60 is any meaningful figure. Yes, I've given my position, but the people that he has appointed, he started appointing them. I think that's a good one. If you look at Atto Forson, by all standards, he's a quality material. From his academic background, he is good for the job. If you look at from even experience, in Parliament, we have seen him articulating the views of Parliament clearly relative to what economics. And he's been a very fantastic, MP in that regard. So I have no doubt in my mind that he has a fair understanding of the issue, particularly so when you and I know that he was a deputy minister of finance. So he is familiar with the terrain already. So going there, he's going to take the conversation to another level. If you look at that of Jinapo, his academic background speaks volume for what he can do, but also we can see that his public engagement, the work he's been doing in Parliament over the years, fantastic. He has the experience and the wherewithal to handle that ministry. Remember, he is also not a stranger in that ministry. He was a deputy minister. So he's very much aware with the programs of that place. Then come to look at the minister, that is Attorney General. Yeah, Dr. Aini, fantastic scholar and also a practitioner of law. He has seen the 2 wells. And then he was also a deputy Attorney General to Marita Blue. So he's familiar with that terrain. So going to another level, I have no doubt in my mind that they can dispense their duties with all the fineness that require of them.
What ministries you feel could be merged or discarded, as the president's looking forward to appointing just 60 ministers?
Oh, if you look at education should stay,
okay.
Health will stay alone, Interior will stay alone,
okay.
Roads and Highway will stay alone, Defense alone. Let's go to the next place. Foreign Affairs, yes, alone, Finance alone, Local Government will be there alone, Information, but Parliamentary Affairs should completely go away.
Okay.
Yes. Then let's look at what? Food and Agriculture should stay alone and can combine with fisheries and aquaculture. It's all about food. And then land and natural resources can stay alone. Trade and industry alone. Tourism alone. Energy alone. Next.
Well, I think that's the last slide. Yes, that is it.
Right. And then sanitation and water resources, you can box it up with what? Works and housing. And you are good to go. Roads, highway, and transport can be merged. Then communication can fall under, information.
Okay.
And then railway can also be part of what? Transport.
Transport Ministry.
Then we are good to go.
Okay, let me come to Andrews Bediako before I come back to you, Asah-Asante, to finalize our conversation. Andrews Bediako, as a local governance expert, looking at government's pledge to run a lean government, which is 60 ministers, what ministry do you feel should go?
Thank you very much, my sister. Let me greet my former lecturer, Dr. Ansa. He taught me governance at the Campus School of Governance. Doc, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you? Good to see you.
I'm fine, Doc. My sister, I will start by saying it's all well good, as Doctor has articulated. But I have a bit of challenge about the issues that Doctor raised related to 19 ministers. You see, my dear, it is not about you having the idea that you want to run the government with the 19 ministers. But sometimes certain things play into consideration. Look, you have to look at regional balance, and you have to look at gender issues and all those kind of things. The religious people currently have their ministry together with that of the chieftains. So if you are cancelling it or you are taking it off, definitely some people will not be happy. So the governance structure that we have in this country has created a lot of challenges for us, especially politicians. You see, when you want to scrap some of these ministries, definitely pressure will come on you. You heard the president yesterday or 3 days ago saying that he has received a lot of CVs. People who help you in managing or winning the election, they are also there. They are looking at you. Now you have 16 regions, unlike previously when we had about 10 regions. Currently we have 16 regions. And all these regions, you see, our local people see politician as somebody, the only person who can do everything for him or her. The only thing that they think politician cannot do is to change a man to a woman or a woman to a man. So when they get to the regional or when they get to the assembly and they don't see their DC, it's like they are not part of government. When they get to the region and they don't see their regional minister, it's like they are not part of their government. So the pressure will mount from the GCE or the MCE, then that will get to the regional minister. Always when they get to the assembly and they don't see or they don't get what they want, they proceed to the region. So you cannot do away with regional ministers. If you do that, you are going to face challenges. Besides that, the kind of institutions that we have in this country, that's why politicians always prefer sending their people to some of these areas for them to manage. My dear, when you go to assembly, for example, and the DC or the MCE is not around, that means the assembly is not working. When the people are just leaving the office, they ask, is chief around? If they see the chief is not around, they are gone. They don't even look at where the coordinating director is the MC or the DC that they are looking at. So the institution that we have in this country, we have not gotten to that level that will leave everything into the hands of the technocrats. If you do that, if care is not taken, your government is going to face challenges. Now, the 16 ministers that the president promised, I think it can work, but he's going to face a lot of challenges. For that one, there is no doubt about that.
What challenges do you foresee?
Yeah, the challenges is that there will be a lot of pressure on you. People who think they have helped you in winning the elections, they are looking at appointments. People who are religious leaders, because we have already created the Ministry of Chieftaincy and Culture and Religious Affairs, meaning these people are also there and they are waiting for you, they are watching you. Immediately you scrap their ministry, they are going to have challenges with you.
But you need money to run government, and if you are struggling with your finances and you're already under an IMF program, you have to look at cutting costs. Now, let me bring your opinion on this, because I'm just thinking the conversation is now moving towards, should we allow members of parliament be appointed in ministerial roles because of the burden? What do you think? Should we maintain that? Should we look at reviewing that?
Yeah, for that one, I think we need to do something about it. Because when you do that, always you see that the executive is controlling the judicial, the legislature, and I don't think that is the best way to go. But because of the president that we have in 1979, that has brought all these things. For me, if we are able to do something about it, the earlier the better, because now the president's hand is tied, that he should appoint not less than 30% of his ministers from not less than 50% of ministers from parliament. Currently, as he's going to run 60 ministries, as he said, if he can go by that, meaning more than 30 members of parliament should be ministers of state, or they should be ministers. But my dear, before I go to the other point, you see, your presenter made mention of savings. So I was just listening and I was just laughing. What kind of savings are we talking about here? Is it about salaries? Because when you scrap these ministries, all the technocrats, all the civil servants who work in these ministries, you cannot sack them. So their salaries will be paid by all means. So are we talking about savings or the money that we use in paying the minister or his deputies? Is that the savings that we are talking about? Because these monies that we are talking about, when the ministry is removed or is scrapped, definitely these monies will be given to the emerging ministry that you have created. And those monies are going to be used. So I don't see where we are talking about savings. Because when you take, let's say, Minister of Foreign Affairs, for example, away, and you leave Minister of Local Government, there are people who are supposed to be working, or there are people who were working at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and they are technocrats. You cannot sack them. So the savings that we are talking about, what kind of savings are we talking about?
Okay. As we wrap up the conversation,